Show Land, and welcome to another episode of the G Show Podcast. I am G1, and this is the Godzilla Block Party. Hello, once again, everybody. It is Thursday, April 16th, and we are doing this podcast early once again to try to have it out later today. That's the plan. That's the goal. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, I'm going to do that today because I've got a ton of yard work. I got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Quarantine and think, yeah, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to sit home. I'm going to watch a bunch of movies. I'm going to play a bunch of video games. I'm going to stuff my face full of potato chips. No, the reality really sets in and it's like, damn, summer's here. It's Vegas. Let me get this yard in order because I got to open up and get ready to go swimming. And it's a terrible situation because I'm overweight. It's very hot. I'm sweating. I'm nasty. I hate it, but I got to push through. So that all being said, I hope this podcast does get up today because it's a nice little distraction from what I have to do today. All right, that being said, let me introduce you to my right here when it comes to Godzilla on the G Show. You know him as Chase. I know him as G73. The world on Facebook knows him as Megsy. What's going on, my brother?
I think you forgot to mention the reason you had to do yard work, too, is also because your wife threatened you.
Yeah. I was trying to keep that out of here. I'm trying to keep that out of here.
Man, I'm just like every average American right now, sitting at home waiting for the stimulus check.
Get that stimulus? Get it? Oh, man. So
I saw someone yesterday. This guy made a Godzilla statue on Instagram, and he's been auctioning it for, like, advertising it for a week. He only had one statue, but it was funny because I laughed because he posted that it was sold and the price of it was $1,200, and I'd lost it. Someone spent their stimulus check on the Godzilla statue. I'm like, hey, that's one way to do it, man, I guess.
Seriously. It is one way of doing it. So, I mean, like, last week we jumped on Thursday morning so we could get it out, the podcast on Thursday afternoon before Toho and Legendary did their whole Godzilla Watch Party. You know what? Holy smokes. Is that Godzilla Watch Party? Godzilla Block Party? Something's fishy here, Chase. Something's fishy. And somebody's
need to start looking into copyright.
Yeah, seriously. I'm getting ripped off here, man. We deserve to get paid more than the stimulus. I'm just saying. But anyway, yeah, we posted the podcast last week on Thursday before, the Godzilla Watch Party that Legendary did for 2014. And today is Kong Skull Island Day. So later today, Legendary's doing a watch party for Kong Skull Island. Now, I bring this up because last week they were talking about special guests and surprises and blah blah blah. I didn't watch it personally. I don't have a Twitter account. I don't want a Twitter account. But apparently they had Gareth Edwards pop up on Twitter during the movie to give some interesting tidbits, behind the scenes stuff, things that never before been seen, involving the making of Godzilla 2014. And that's cool. Now, nothing really stood out, in my opinion. But I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, we're getting a director's take here. I kind of dig that. I bring that up because if today is Kong Skull Island, then hopefully, fingers crossed, logic would dictate that they would have Jordan Vogt-Roberts on to talk about the process making Kong Skull Island and fit it into the Monsterverse. Now, that's interesting in a couple of ways because now we can figure out his thought process making a movie. Did he really want to have Godzilla in that movie instead of just like cave paintings at the end? Did he not want to have Godzilla in the movie at all? Did he want it just to stand on its own legs? There's a whole bunch of things, and again,
He has said that originally the Godzilla cameo was going to be different.
See, so that's very crazy, and I'm, not that I'm going to get Twitter right now just so I can watch the Kong Skull Island.
It's on Twitter too. It's any social media.
It was on Instagram?
Yeah, it was on Instagram, and it was on Facebook too.
Well, crap in my pants. I had no idea. Well then, shit, maybe I might watch Kong Skull Island today. I mean, I've been looking to watch a monster movie for a minute. Last week I watched Pacific Rim 1 and 2, and I gotta be honest, I like them both. I think I enjoyed Pacific Rim Uprising more than I ever had last week when I watched it. I really did. I don't know what it was. it's just so
How many
cheesy.
beers were you in?
Oh, I know. No, dude, there was no beers involved. That's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. I kind of...
That's awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. It's just cheesy fun, man. It just reminds me of some cheesy...
I liked Uprising, too. I just wish they... there are things about it, of course. You know, I love the spectacle of it, and there's a few characters I wish they would have kept, but Uprising wasn't a bad movie. That's my opinion. Gotcha. It wasn't bad. It was a fun monster kaiju movie. It was a good descendant of the first Pacific Rim, you know. So who knows? Maybe someday we'll get back Pacific Rim. But for now,
we got to deal with what we have, and that's right. Today, Kong Skull Island on a watch party, and that's cool. So I guess maybe if I'm not doing the damn yard work, which I shouldn't be at that point in time, I should be done. Maybe I'll give it a check, or just go on social media and you know, look through whatever's being said there. But so that's interesting, because if that's the case and he is on there today, next week is King of the Monsters, and even though Michael Daughtry already like pretty much said everything he had to say, I'm pretty sure there's stuff that he's been wanting to say, and maybe now he can be able to come out and say, yeah, we wanted to do this, or we wanted to do that, or we actually really did want to incorporate Rodan's original Raw in the movie, but we got shut down. I'm sorry.
Or it wasn't me that put in the really bad jokes.
Or it wasn't me that put in the really... Right. Or
the more important part.
Or at the end of the movie, well, guys, thank you for joining me in this... Godzilla King of the Monsters watch party. But before we go, let me introduce you to my good buddy, Adam Wingard. He's got something to tell you. Bam! Trailer time!
What you don't know is Rodan's roar is going to sound like Joe Pesci.
And My Cousin Vinny, too, right?
Yeah.
The Mothra egg is going to hatch with the two larvae. Look at these two Utes. Look at the two Utes here. Oh, get it.
Oh, my God.
I know.
That'd be a rip.
Oh, man. But, I mean, look, I digress with all that stuff. So, it seems like it was a good time last week. Legendary, having Gareth Edwards on, watching G14. This week, hopefully, again, today. We don't know for sure, but if that's the route they're going, then if Jordan Voight-Roberts is on, cool. We could get a little tidbits behind Skull Island. That's cool. And then next week, again, if this is the case, Michael Daughtry on, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So I don't know. It's cool. It's something different. For kaiju fans, especially people who like the Monarch universe, the Legendary universe, this is something cool to just do while stuck at home, and
and you gotta think, at the end of all this, technically, what is Legendary really wanting to do? I mean, of course, the way of the means of being quarantined, I get it, but I don't think they're doing this just because they're bored at home either. It's a possibility we could get some type of, yeah, we're bummed we can't show you the trailer, but however, here's this type scenario. I'm not saying. I mean, of course, that's a little bit of a shot, but I mean, I wouldn't say it's a long shot though.
I wouldn't either.
Definitely possible we see some type of Easter egg or little teaser or something. Even just a screenshot or something. Just to get the fans salivating or something. But who knows? We never know. I was very impressed with how they did the watch party. Gareth Edwards put all the trolls in their place when they complained about not enough screen time for Godzilla, and that was great.
Did he? What did he say? What did he say? What did he say?
He just quoted himself. Oh man, why did this director not do enough screen time for the monsters?
I love it.
He's making fun of himself, and that always pisses off trolls because it's like he's making fun of himself. What can they do?
Right.
So that always chaps their asses. I laughed, but no, it was cool listening to what he had to say. It's kind of nice having it made me realize I would absolutely love Gareth Edwards to come back and do another one.
Oh, me too.
I was looking at. I watched. I didn't watch 2014, but I was watching. I saw some stuff of it, and I watched King of the Monsters, and I was like, the way Gareth Edwards advertised the scale of the monsters trumps King of the Monsters by a long shot. Like, you actually feel Godzilla is big in 2014. And of course, like, Mike Doherty did a good couple shots where Godzilla looked huge, but you don't feel like he's huge. There's a big difference. And I would love to see, like, I was just going back and thinking about the 2014 trailer. Like, when Godzilla pops out of the ocean and before the bomb goes off.
Oh, man.
And you see his back and everything. He's massive. He is huge, and you feel that. And in King of the Monsters, it's a different type of tone and spectacle. Not that it takes away from the... I mean, a little bit... Actually, yeah, it takes a little bit away from the film, you know, or the franchise, if you will. But I would love, you know, even if it's like a co-direct thing, Gareth Edwards coming back and doing, like, visuals and stuff like that, and someone else directing it, I think that would be really cool.
Man... I'll tell you, that you brought tears to my eyes. I love it because I too, I'd much rather have seen Gareth Edwards' version.
Could you imagine, because I loved Rogue One.
Yes.
Could you imagine what he could have done with more budget and he decided not to shy away from the monsters fighting?
And I think that's where he was going. I remember, like, after 2014 came out, he was saying, you know, the idea for the next one would be definitely to bring in more classic monsters.
Destroy all monsters.
Yeah. And, I mean, they took that idea and did it. They did do it.
And he knew about King Ghidorah, Rodan, and Mothra, and at the point, he was on board until he's like, nah, I'm not going to do it.
I think Star Wars did burn him out. He did 2 back-to-back big,
and that's exactly what he said. He said, I'm just burned out of big Hollywood films.
Yeah. And that's a damn shame because everybody knows unabashedly, I am not ashamed to admit, I absolutely love Godzilla 2014. Like, it is one of my favorite Godzilla movies of all time. It is up there. I absolutely love that movie. And again, the only problem I have with that movie, is that they killed Bryan Cranston. That was it. That was it. Because he could have survived, and they could have worked him in for the rest of the movie.
And the thing is they should have kept Bryan Cranston on because for killing off Serizawa and King of the Monsters. Could you imagine if Bryan Cranston took his place?
And that's the thing too with these movies. I feel like it's now a gag. It's a joke, and I don't like that.
There was no reason to kill off Sally Hawkins and Ken Watanabe's characters.
None, zero, and that drove me mad.
It was just a cheap. It was supposed to be a cheap heart tear, and that's wrong. You know, if there's no reason to kill him off, there's no reason. You know, and I remember Mike Doherty talking about his deaths, and it's like, I killed off Sally Hawkins' character because I thought it would be very more impactful this way and shocking, and I'm like, that's only going to work for the hardcore Godzilla fans. And that's not what you want to do with the general audience. They're like, well, that person. The thing is they should have waited to kill him off. Like, they needed to build at it. And if they were going to do that, I mean, look, Serizawa's death, I get it. But you killed off both of Monarch's head operatives.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's going to be Kyle Chandler and the Asian girl he has a crush on.
And Kyle Chandler wasn't even a part of Monarch, if I'm not mistaken.
But basically, remember, Serizawa gave him all his notes and said, it's up to you now. You know? So...
Yeah.
And then they all leave together. You know, I honestly... Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't mind, but I think if you had Bryan Cranston... Dude, if you had Bryan Cranston throughout this franchise, you would have had a little bit more of a moneymaker there.
And I don't think Bryan Cranston would have been opposed to doing this. Honestly.
No, he absolutely has been very vocal that he did not condone him dying.
See, and that's I'm telling you, that's my only gripe with G14 is the fact that Bryan Cranston died.
Too.
Because there was literally no reason to die. The emotion that Ford emoted was not there. So,
in my opinion, how he died was kind of silly because he could have survived that. Unless just the hit on his... It's not like he was impaled.
He could have had internal injuries. I don't know, man. The whole scaffolding fell on him. That's dangerous. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, but
he was crushed, bro.
I know, but just the way they filmed it, though, I just don't know. It just looks like he could have survived. I could have maybe survived it.
I'll tell you what.
I'm younger.
I tell you,
bouncier, but
one of my.
I don't know. I mean, I just think, it's a cheap ploy. You know, and I get it, but Bryan Cranston was the character that didn't need to go.
None of them did.
You know, I don't think really any of those characters needed to go. You should have just kept with the beginning, with the emotional beginning, and leave it at that. That would have made the movie more impactful for me, because then Bryan Cranston would be motivated throughout the rest of the Monsterverse to prove to the world that monsters exist and we need to protect ourselves from them.
Absolutely.
Or study them or whatever.
I agree with that. There was no emotional payoff at the end of this, because here's the thing. Ford Brody looked like he didn't care. Yeah, he saved the world or whatever he didn't say. He saved San Francisco from an atomic bomb or whatever the case may be. But
he did kill all the Mutos.
Yeah, he killed the Mutos, right?
He barbecued them all.
Oh, that's right, he did.
Before you go on, I want to mention Gareth Edwards actually said something interesting. He basically said the reason why Ford Brody was the way he was because he wanted a Harrison Ford type character.
Oh, yeah, I know. But even still, Harrison Ford has a little bit more charisma in anything he's done, even when he's phoning it in. So, I mean...
I want my family back.
Give me back my family.
Give me my family.
Come on, man. You're ruining the illusion for Han Solo and Indiana Jones here. But, but, you know, Ford Brody didn't really bring that emotional conclusion. But if you would have had Joe...
never mind. I thought we were going into that, but never mind.
Oh, no, yeah. But if we had Joe at the end of the movie, he would have been vindicated because, yes, he said there's something wrong here. He followed it for the next 19 years, however many years was going on from Janjira to the present day. He followed it. It happened.
15 years,
It was 15, right? I think 15, you're right. He followed it. It happened. At the end, he stands there, he stands tall, he watches Godzilla destroy these creatures, and he's vindicated. And it's like, it's now not Sally Hawkins, his wife is now, you know what I'm saying, he can put her to rest easier. Because that was one of the things he was constantly holding on, like, she shouldn't have died. She shouldn't have died. Something killed her. It wasn't a malfunction. The reactor was working, everything was working, the plant worked fine. It wasn't human error. Something killed my wife. So if he would have been able to get that closure, that would have been it would have made a lot more people happier. I would have been all right. And then that movie would have been perfect, probably top 3 in my favorite Godzilla movies. But because we didn't get none of that, right? And again, I agree. I understand when people are like, oh, Ford Brody, he's so drab and sucks. He's whack. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I enjoyed it. But he did not, and I got to agree with them, he did not give me no kind of an emotional kick or punch to be, like, satisfied at the end. Godzilla did that. And yes, it should have been Godzilla because it's Godzilla's movie. But, you know, at the end of the day, we have to be invested in the human drama. And I think they started out right. And then it didn't stick the landing. But then to go ahead later on and start killing all the main characters or big name characters. For instance, one of the biggest pet peeves I got about Kong Skull Island. Why did you kill John Goodman's character Randa? He did not need to die. He did not need to die. And it was goofy the way he did. I was like, yeah, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. You know? And I thought it was just like, oh, well, we killed Bryan Cranston. Let's kill John Goodman. And then we cut to King of the Monsters. Let's kill Sally Hawkins. But I didn't even know she died. Like, I swear to God, the first time I watched that movie, I blinked. And I was like, what's...
Her death literally was a scrub.
It was terribly done, bro. And I'm like, wow. Why is Serizawa crying? What the hell's going on? Like, I had no idea what happened.
And I literally had to rewatch that a couple times to try and, like, get the emotional connection to it. And it's like...
It's not.
It was pathetic. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's because they shitted the bed with the Michael Bay jokes early in the movie. So when an impactful character death happens, it don't mean nothing. And granted, don't get me wrong, people are there to watch the giant monsters and give 2 shits about the people. But that's not me. That's not me. Back in 54, I'm rooting for Dr. Yamane. You know, he doesn't want to kill Godzilla. He wants to study Godzilla. I'm rooting for that man. Serizawa doesn't even want nobody to know about the oxygen destroyer. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, like it's deep. There's some real human drama in there. And here, you had it in the beginning with 2014, but then it just lost traction. Like, I could care less about any one of those characters in Kong Skull Island. Any one of them. I couldn't care less about any of them. I couldn't care less about Loki. I couldn't care less about Captain Marvel. I actually really like Nick Fury. Notice what I'm doing here, right? Godzilla versus Avengers confirmed, baby.
You know, Kong Skull Island characters. I love all the soldiers, and I love Hank Marlowe.
I'm lying. Other than that, yeah, I do love the soldiers.
Two amazing Marvel stars, and they, you know, Tom Hiddleston wasn't bad, but I just feel like he could have done more. Brie Larson was a little bit of a throwaway. You could have got someone else, maybe, but it is what it is. But definitely, I love the soldiers.
Yeah, the soldiers. I gotta be honest.
Those soldiers, you know, I would have loved if all of them stuck. You know what they should have done? They should have had all of the actors be stranded together, not isolated on different parts of the island. That would have been an interesting, almost callback to Peter Jackson's Kong.
Yeah,
and that would have been cool.
I agree.
Then they could have had some of those scenes where, like, they're going through a river and a brontosaurus comes and a swamp monster attacks them and stuff. They could have done that. You know, I think that would have been done. But you know what? Regardless, Kong Skull Island was still a fun film. I love that movie. Hold dear to it. I still have my gigantic movie poster that I stole from my theater when I was working there. So, you know, I love that movie, and it very well hyped up Godzilla and Kong for me. But yeah, I don't think Bill Randa should have been killed off the way he was. And I don't get it. What's the point of killing off these really star-grade Hollywood actors?
Absolutely.
Don't you understand one of the key elements of franchises is continuity?
Yep.
You know? And look, I mean, of course, I don't think Bill Randa would have been in King of the Monsters because he would have been old as shit.
Right.
But all of them would have been. But well, you did have Corey Hawkins, but he was young, you know.
Yeah, you had
his character.
Yep.
Brooks, and his girlfriend and stuff like that, Lee. But it is what it is, you know. But yeah, I just you know, and look, you know, in Godzilla versus Kong, it's going to be interesting to see because they don't really have any huge star grade actors. I mean, unless you consider Alexander Skarsgård as a high grade, but he hasn't been doing so hot. But anyway, you know, but other than that, we don't have very huge known actors. I mean,
that's good then. You focus more on the monsters. That's where it should be at this point in time. You know, we're here now, so let's get that going. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Randa could have stayed alive and wouldn't have made a difference at all. He could have just been memorialized in Monarch as one of the, you know, prolific heads of Monarch, the man who pretty much jump-started the whole fucking thing, you know? And he did not need to be in King of the Monsters, but you didn't have to kill him, and the way they did it was terrible. But again, I digress. The corny deaths in these movies, or the unnecessary deaths, but King of the Monsters, with the exception of Serizawa.
The roads too quickly, man.
Yeah, Serizawa's death was dope. It was meaningful. I loved the kind of reverse play from, you know, the original 54 movie where Serizawa was the instrument of death, and in this one, Serizawa is the instrument of resurrection. I love that.
I love that idea too. I don't. The only problem with Serizawa's death is that Serizawa died.
Right.
I love how it's done, but man, Ken Watanabe, man, he's the passion behind this franchise.
Absolutely agree. We need more Ken Watanabe in Godzilla. Maybe he's not dead. Maybe he comes. Maybe he's
Suzuki.
Maybe he's Nozuki. Yes. Yes, because
but I wanted to talk about just something about Sally Hawkins' death, though.
Yeah.
Like I said, like, look, if you want to kill off an actor and make it meaningful, build up that character. You know, like, I know in the comic, the Aftershock comic, they have a little bit of, like, Sally Hawkins was a little bit close with Emma, but so that's a little bit of character contingency, but you should definitely have built up a little bit longer. I mean, Sally Hawkins didn't really do anything in the film up to that point to her death. She didn't do nothing where it's like people rooted for her. She didn't do anything where you care about her. You do not care about her death.
Hey.
And that's the problem, is because you're supposed to care about her death because she's Serizawa's assistant.
Yeah, and
she's been a main character.
And he kind of looked at her as an equal. That's what I loved about it, She wasn't just, go get me coffee. That wasn't her.
Saying that him and her kind of had a thing for each other.
Absolutely. I agree, absolutely. And I'll tell you this, and here's another thing. I can't believe I'm ragging on Keelan Monsters here, but was it necessary for her to even be there? Like, no. Like, I don't get it. Why were they all going there? Like, here's the deal. You got a bunch of soldiers and monarch scientists, right? The scientists don't need to go into the facility. The facility is overrun by terrorists right now. So leave that to the soldiers. Why are we running into this shit? Why?
Yeah. It's like, why are we here?
Right. Stay on the Argo. Stay on the goddamn Argo and everything will be fine. So, it boggles my mind. It really does. It fucking drives me crazy. Because Sally Hawkins' character could have survived, and they still could have had Serizawa's death, because, again, that's a meaningful death, and then see her destroyed, because, first off, that girl is a freaking class act actress. She's grade A, top notch. So she would have brought it. But in a movie where they're like, we're going to give you more monsters, and we'll give you a bunch of shit jokes, fart and dick jokes, yeah, her talent is wasted. So let's just kill her, like, pretty much off screen, because that's what it looked like.
Now, how would you have felt, though, if the way they did that is they reversed Serizawa's death with hers that way? Serizawa's like, I'm going to go and do it. But then she's like, no, I'll do it.
Nah, I don't buy that. Godzilla meant more to Serizawa than it did for her. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah, and plus,
I was wondering how they could have done that, because obviously that would have been interesting. What if they didn't do that scene at all and they like had just Mothra revive Godzilla, which technically is what I thought she was trying to do with her beams.
It probably would have taken a long time.
And that's the thing. Whatever happened to that call to arms stuff Mike Doherty was talking about with his atomic breath? No monsters ever came to his aid.
No, maybe they wound up, because it took time for them to get to Boston. They were all there by the end.
Yeah, that's true. It's just Mothra, though. Rodan was,
Rodan was already...
the Dora train.
Rodan was already bitched out. God damn it. It pisses me off when I think about it now.
The thing is, but the more we talk about it, the more I start to realize, like, there was a lot that they promised in the beginning, and they just didn't deliver.
Well, yeah, and that's what happens when you put most of your budget to marketing. Backfires. Backfires.
And you finish your movie a year before it comes out.
Yeah, so there's that. But anyway, that was a different time, a different world that we lived in then. A world of enthusiasm and hope. Now we live in a world of, what's going to happen tomorrow. But, hopefully everything works itself out. That being said, I do want to bring up the fact and a notion, something I mentioned last week. Something that we've been mentioning now for a couple of weeks on this podcast since this current, worldwide situation is happening. The movie theaters are closed down. Universal said we are going to be the first out of the gates to drop a major release, a AAA movie. Well, AAA in terms of kids, but you get what I'm saying. A major release, one of the first of the summer season blockbusters, because now it seems like summer season starts in February. It makes me fucking mad. Ugh, nothing is sacred anymore. But... so they did that with Trolls, and everybody was like, this is a bad idea. Nope. And the movie theaters, the movie franchise chain, the movie theater chains, I should say, were like, don't do it. Don't do it, because we'll blacklist you. Don't do it. Don't do it. Well, they did it. And for a movie, if it would have came out in theaters, I would have said, this movie is going to make about $30 to $40 million in between that opening weekend, and that's it. That's it. Because who gives a fuck?
That's what it was estimated to. It was estimated to tank.
Tank, exactly. Like, who cares? Well, apparently a bunch of people at home who can't deal with their children because this movie on its opening weekend made $90 million. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a fucking success. That's a success. You cannot tell me any which way. Now, granted, a lot of it is to just shut the kids up because now the parents don't know what to do. I work at a school, so I know firsthand, most of these parents, they drop their kids off so they can do their own thing. A lot of them work, and I take nothing away from that, but there are a bunch of, I'm telling you firsthand, there are a bunch of people who just drop their kids off because they don't want nothing to do with their kids, and that we're glorified babysit. That's what a school is, glorified babysitters, and you're supposed to learn something. Because when these kids don't do what they're supposed to do and they act up, and then you gotta get in touch with the parents and say, the parents don't care, they come in. Why are you calling me? Because your kid's acting stupid. So what? Now see, that's the wrong thing. Now that the kids are home, you know what I'm saying? Now that the kids are home and the parents gotta
deal with it. Now you got a first view of how shitty your kid is.
Right. Do we got $20 laying around? Put that Trolls movie on for them. Put that shit on. So now, $90 million later, I don't think Universal saw that coming. I don't think Universal saw that coming. They have
said they are still disappointed, though.
Okay,
they expected it to make more.
Well, that's insane. Universal, they need to get a fact check. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Seriously, because this to me was amazing news. 90 million,
and that's what everyone's saying. And John Campion's been talking about this for a couple of days too. It made like 27 million on its opening day, but then because it came out the 10th, and then it accumulated that, and then like yesterday or Monday, it was reported like it made 90 million total. But the thing is at the moment there's not anything officially stating that. All these sources, so I'd be interested to see what the actual final number is.
Right, because now they can't judge on VOD.
The reason why I bring that up, though, is that enforces my idea. A long time ago, I said that movie chains need to stop thinking about the weekend box office. It's all about the long run, and that's usually how it is anyways, but these movies need to stop worrying about what it makes in the weekend, because it's all about the long run at the end of the day. Because even after that weekend's over, your movie is still in theaters.
Okay, for at least 3 weeks.
That Trolls even though it didn't make it in 2 days, but it made almost in 5 days, made 90 million, jumped from 27 to 90. That's remarkable.
Well, I was hearing 90 million on Monday, so that's a 3-day take. And I'm like, okay, 3 days they did 90 million. That's a weekend box office. That's what that is. That's the weekend box office. And if this movie would have came out in theaters, if we weren't going through this current global situation, that movie wouldn't have made $90 million in the box office. That movie would have been more, like we said, 30 to 40 million. So what I'm getting at, because this is not about Trolls, and I did not watch it, but I know my niece watched it like 7 times in the 48 hours they had it. She loves that stuff. She loves that. I mean, and again, I guess that's what it's geared to like the 5-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? But this is good news because then you could take a movie like Godzilla vs. Kong, and again, I say I'm a broken record on this podcast when I say this. This movie would benefit from a VOD release. It would not, especially now that you see it could be done. If another movie was to drop before Godzilla vs. Kong on VOD and make this type of money, and it doesn't have to be like a Fast and the Furious or a Wonder Woman 84 style, but something in that line, something that's like something for the whole family. I can't even think of something right now off the top of my head that would work. Oh, I'll tell you, well, not New Mutants wouldn't have done it. Black Widow would have made more money in theaters, but not as much. I'm trying to think of something that would have been right there in the vein of Trolls, in the vein of Godzilla vs. Kong, that would come out on VOD and try to make that troll money.
I could say Quiet Place.
Oh, A Quiet Place is actually a really good freaking idea, but that's a good one. I agree. A Quiet Place would have been perfect. Perfect. Because it's not the major motion picture franchise of all time. You know, it was a very good movie, the first one, and now there's a sequel. Let's see what happens next. I'm pretty sure a lot of people's going to want to. So use A Quiet Place. That's a perfect example. And see, and then gauge what this VOD really means, these $20 rentals. And if that does troll money or better, then there's no doubt in my mind there's a market for this. You know what I mean? And Godzilla vs. Kong, in my personal opinion, would benefit from this. Because like I said last week, you bypass all the marketing costs. You're doing these watch parties. I'm going to repeat myself. You're doing these watch parties, and they're saying, no, there's not going to be a trailer. Sorry, guys, but you can watch along with us and get some cool tidbits that you would never have known before. You can watch along with us. But like I said, then come Godzilla King of the Monsters, and the end of that movie happens, and they say, oh, by the way, and they give you a teaser trailer. For Godzilla vs. Kong, a teaser, 30 seconds or less. That's all you need. But it's the date at the end that really drives people crazy, and that is next month. It is May, let's say 20-something, whatever. May 19th, May 13th. You do that, and then that's free publicity, because you're going to have your John Campias, you're going to have your Colliders, you're going to have your Screen Junkies, you're going to have all of those, YouTube media outlets talking about this now. And that's free publicity, not a dime coming out of your pocket. And if you can make $90 million in one weekend off of that, you're a win. You're in the green in my book. Even though the movie might cost $120 million, $130 million to make, $90 million off of that is still good money. Way better than a $200 million on, with the marketing plan in place. Dude, I'm telling you, it's a no-brainer.
And also thinking about that, too, I have a lot to say about this, actually, but thinking about that, too, that's also selling the Trolls rental at $20 a pop.
Yeah.
That's a big, interesting thing to put in play here that I don't think a lot of people were expecting that. Yeah, these movies are being... That's a way you make sure your film has a viable... it's not going to lose money that way when you do it that way, I feel. And it's funny because for the whole week, I've been looking at Godzilla stuff, and I noticed that a lot of people said that they either didn't get the chance to go to the theaters to see King of the Monsters, or they wanted to, but were stuck at home, or this or that. I think that what you could do is you could release King of the Monsters in the theaters. Godzilla vs. Kong in the theaters, and you could also put it on VOD for those ones that can't get out to the theaters, if for that being a plan. And I think that way you would basically give people that wanted to see it not an excuse to not see it.
Right.
So I like that idea a lot, because that's a double way to see it. Like, I would fucking get it on VOD and then run out to the theater.
Oh, absolutely.
Have it at home and then go to the theater, Absolutely.
But that's also putting into play that the theaters will still be around.
Right. And that's all it is, if the theaters are open by then.
Right.
Because like I said, we still don't even know what Godzilla vs. Kong has planned. Marketing hasn't started. The film may or may not even come out in 2020. The movies that are slated for 2020 may not even come out. So we'll see. There's talks of opening the theaters back in July, towards the end of early August. But that's a what if at this point.
Yeah, it's a big what if. Yep.
It is a what if. But, it's very interesting, and it actually does bring a lot of perspective and hope to the idea of VOD being a viable theater solution.
And I agree with this theory 100%. I love that idea. I was saying that when Shin Godzilla came out, I was like, yo, could you, remember, we had a podcast dedicated to that. My whole thing was, for those who ain't going, or for those who does not have a market where they're showing Shin Godzilla, Toho, just put it on VOD. It's not going to cost you much. And it's going to gain you profit, because there's going to be those Godzilla fans who don't have it in their market. Like, let's say you're in, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out here, but let's say you're in a Dakota. You're in South Dakota or something, or North Dakota.
Or Montana.
I don't want to say Montana because I'm pretty sure GamZ1 got to see it.
Yeah, but if are you bringing the theaters into play?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Andrew has been very vocal that there's like no theater in where he lives.
So you have to travel. But what I mean, like, what I'm saying though is like, I'm just throwing a random thing. A smaller market that would not show that movie. Like, and I'm going to just use North Dakota because it's very cold up there and people probably don't be running out to it. But let's just say that. If you got Godzilla fans in North Dakota, which I'm pretty sure there are, and Shin Godzilla is not going to be released in the theaters, then Toho, just put a VOD. Just do it. Because you're going to have the people who are able to have Shin Godzilla in their market go see it in the theater, because there's nothing a G fan wants more than seeing a Godzilla movie on the big screen, right? Regardless of your taste. Because again, you know, we hate that. I hate Shin Godzilla. I don't like it. But I saw it twice in the theaters. I own it. I watch it. Yeah. Again, you got to get something out of it, even if it's anger and hate. And there's still some cool things to take away. But that's irregardless of my point. But if they would have done VOD, not only are you people going to go see Godzilla in the theaters, but those same people who have that theater showing it could probably come home and, like you said, rent it on VOD. Especially the ones who really liked it. It's a win-win situation, and I for something like this, and you see there are certain movies that actually do that now, but they're very smaller movies. They're more almost independent films, very low budget, low key, not franchised movies that'll say in theaters and on VOD such and such date. What if Godzilla vs. Kong breaks that mold? If the theaters are back and they do that for those people who can't get out. But if you want no marketing, no marketing cost, free marketing and publicity, I'm telling you right now, you put that movie in May, you screw everybody's heads up, you put that movie in May on VOD, because nobody else is going to do it. Trolls had nothing in the way. Nothing. There was nothing. It was just Trolls. And it made $90 million. If there's nothing in the way and they say, let's drop it in May, let's drop it when it was supposed to originally come out for $20 for 48 hours, people are going to, I'm telling you, it's free marketing, it's free publicity, and they will turn a profit. They would stay in the green. And it also alleviates the worry of, are we going to be able to even come out in November, whether or not the movie theaters are open? I mean, November's packed now.
You know, at the end of the day, too, they got to start thinking, we can't keep postponing our movie.
Right.
Eventually it has to come out. And I didn't realize that Godzilla vs. Kong actually has been delayed more than we think.
Really?
It was actually delayed twice in May. It got pushed to 2 dates in May. It was coming out the 31st or the 29th of May. No, 31st, and then it got pushed to the 29th. And that's where it was going to stay for a bit. And then it got pushed to March. So it's already been pushed a few times. Like a day or two push isn't that big of a deal. But the fact that it has already been pushed, it just solidifies the fact that I don't think they know when they want to put it out. Or they don't have the time, or the film's not finished enough where they're satisfied. But eventually the film has to come out.
Right.
And yeah, I think 2021, if anything, it might be the deal, might be where it comes out. But I think right now might be a good chance to rethink that. And who knows, you know?
They can't wait that long. I will say this. They cannot sit on it. They can't, I mean, you had a 3-year gap between between G14 and Skull Island, and then 2 years later with Skull Island and King of the Monsters. I mean, 2 years is granted. That's usually when sequels should drop, but this is different, and I know where they were trying to
understand too. At this point, they don't really have a choice.
I absolutely agree, but they do, because if the movie is done, just drop it on VOD. Just give it to us, because you got people ready for it.
But that's if Warner Brothers is confident that it can survive on VOD.
Well, that's the thing, though.
That's all up to them.
But here's the deal: it's not about surviving, because there's nothing else in the waters right now. So if it's by itself, it's by itself. That's why November was such an important date That's why I was champion November. Like, put it in November. Screw this summer shit. Put it in November. There's nothing there. Nothing. And then they did it, and I was happy as shit. Like, yeah! Yes! This that's what the movie deserves. It's gonna do its thing. Then Corona being virus happened. And then movies started getting plucked. And now you got not one, not two, but 3 blockbuster movies in November. And that's unheard of. You had Godzilla first, then you get James Bond pushed a week later, and then you got fucking Black Widow in there. And
you have Pixar's Soul, but people are saying that's not going to do anything.
And that might get pushed back too, I heard, yeah. But yeah, even look at that. Now you figure they put Soul in there. What the hell? They're not going to put...
And that comes out on the day Godzilla vs. Kong comes out.
And it has to, because they're not going to put it a week after Black Widow comes out, because it's Disney. You want Black Widow to reap itself for 2 weeks, and then bam.
And honestly, it's these movies bullying, because they pay attention to how other movies receive their box offices.
I agree.
So that's what they're doing.
And that's why I'm saying, like, right now, you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to keep pushing this movie back. You know what I'm saying? You're going to kind of get, like, tired of waiting. Like, I don't care no more. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
But if you surprise people, if the movie is done, there's nothing in the way but Trolls. And by the time May 20-something rolls around, Trolls is already gone. And if nobody else does anything, drop it. Because here's the deal. You make a deal with the theater chains and you say, look, we're going to drop this here, whether you like it or not. But we're going to still hold on to Wonder Woman 84. We're going to put that out in the theaters so you can get your money back once we bring everything back to life. That's because, in all honesty, you can't deny the fact that Wonder Woman 84 is going to be a bigger movie than Godzilla vs. Kong in terms of monetary gains. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you take a small little hit, you drop the VOD, people will buy it, and if it is that good, make no mistake, people getting a stimulus check. They're going to put it on again, and again, and again. They'll put it on again. Buy the goddamn Godzilla movie. Let's watch it. Maybe it boosts up sales for Kong Skull Island, King of the Monsters, and G14. Who knows? Maybe people start ordering on Amazon those movies who don't have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
All of a sudden, Legendary comes out with this dope-ass collector's box set, all 4 movies in one. And bam, dude, that's just me. I mean, that in the world we live in right now, that is something that is something that would be so positive for me as a G fan, as somebody that really wants to see this movie. You know what I mean? But also wants this movie to succeed in ways that nobody knows. Like, I wanted G14 to succeed, and it did. It made more than it cost. But the following week, X-Men Days of Futures Past was in its way, and it got obliterated. Kong Skull Island, I wanted it to succeed, but honestly, it was just Kong. I don't really care. I want Godzilla.
But it did succeed, though.
And it did, but I mean, like...
Not as much, but it did.
And I don't think there was... And that came out in October, if I'm not mistaken.
What did?
Kong Skull Island. Was that in
March.
March. Makes sense. March
9th, 2017.
Makes more sense. But then King of the Monsters is coming out, and I want it to succeed like you would not believe. You've got, you know, the trinity of monsters. You got the quartet, I should say. With the trinity of good monsters come Toho, in my opinion, because I love me some Rodan. Fuck you, Raw. And then another X-Men movie. Even though that X-Men movie sucked balls too. But it's the fact that there was always a challenge in the vicinity for a Godzilla movie. For these legendary Godzilla movies. There was always a challenge in the vicinity. And right now, where Kong Skull Island is, if theaters do open up in July, and they do decide to keep that where it's at, it's a bigger challenge. It's humongous. It's monumental. Because you got 2 gigantic franchises, one in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and then one James Bond, competing with King Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong. And as much as I want that to succeed, I don't think now it's in a good spot. So that's why I said reel it in, surprise everybody, get yourself some free publicity while you're at it, and then just take what you can get.
And the thing is, because if indeed the actual numbers are true about Trolls making the 90 million, when those numbers are finally out, once studios see that, that's gonna that could possibly change a lot of movies.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and then here's the thing. James Bond could be like, all right, we're going to VOD. And then Black Widow, we're going to VOD. And then the movie theaters open up in October, and those movies shot themselves in the foot.
Yes.
And then Godzilla vs. Kong's right where he's at in theaters. And
in a perfect world. In a perfect world, that's exactly what I would love to happen. I had this conversation yesterday, as a matter of fact, in regards to Black Widow going. Like, I wouldn't personally pay for Black Widow to go to VOD. Like, if it did,
I would sell and buy the new James Bond movie in a heartbeat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But like, because I have Disney Plus, I'm like, yo, I'm already paying for a Disney subscription. Just put it on Disney Plus so I can watch it. You know, so I wouldn't jump through hoops to watch Black Widow right off the bat. Unlike if it came out in a movie, even though I'm not gonna lie, I really have no interest in seeing this movie. I know where her story ends. You know what I mean?
I'm not interested in Black Widow either.
Right, and that's not to take away from the character or Scarlett Johansson, because I love Scarlett Johansson and I love Black Widow's character. I didn't like the fact that, spoilers, they ended her in Endgame. So I know where she ends up. You know what I mean? So yes, they're planting seeds for other things, and I'm fine with that. But
and that's kind of how my reason is I just don't think Black Widow looks good.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I don't think there's anything there that entices me.
That's fair.
Now, I mean, I love David Harbour. I mean, frankly, the past couple movies he's been in have been really bad.
That's not true. He's the second best Hellboy. He's the second best Hellboy.
Yeah. I mean, I love this Hellboy, actually.
Okay,
I loved his incarnation of Hellboy. I thought he did a great job.
Me too.
I just thought the movie sucked.
No, it did not. It's a fun fucking movie,
now,
man.
if they kept David Harbour on for a Hellboy in the future, but they got a different director, you know, Hellboy was one of those movies that went through hell, literally.
Yeah.
It had a lot of turmoil and stuff, but that regardless, Black Widow to me just doesn't look enticing.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's a girl power movie. It has nothing to do with girls in it. You know, I know there's that big cancel culture right now that's, you know, attacking feminism and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with it. I'm not into that. It just, there's nothing in it that looks enticing to me. You know, and there's talks of it being like a prequel that sets up the fact that she's not dead after all.
I would love it.
But I still am, you know, if that's the case, then cool, but it doesn't look like it's worth my money to see it.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So like, if Marvel and Disney was to do something like that with Black Widow VOD, to me, just put it on the damn Disney Plus. I'll tell you right now, it will definitely get subscription fees up. Like, subscriptions would go up dramatically.
Then they would go down after they watch it.
Probably, but I will say this, even though I'm getting a little off topic here because we are talking Godzilla. Disney Plus is pretty freaking cool. They've got a lot of good stuff and a lot of old cartoons from Marvel that are just like, wow. You know,
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been binging all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, see, and they got that too. So that's awesome.
They don't have the one with Penelope Cruz and Ian McShane, and I love that one.
That's the last one. Yeah.
I've been noticing something that I wanted to actually bring up. Pirates of the Caribbean's screenplay writers. One of them is Terry Rossio, and he is the man that is writing Godzilla vs. Kong.
Oh.
And he has written, I looked at his movies that he's done. He's written a lot of famous movies. He wrote Aladdin. He wrote Pirates of the Caribbean movies. He wrote Iron Giant. He wrote, I think it was Iron Giant. But he has written a lot of really good movies, and it makes me really, really excited. Yeah, he wrote Shrek, Aladdin. He wrote Zorro. Oh, never mind. It wasn't Iron Giant. It was Small Soldiers.
Oh, and I remember that movie.
He wrote Treasure Planet, which is one of my favorite Disney movies. He wrote the National Treasure movies.
Oh yeah.
He wrote Little Monsters.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, that movie's great. He wrote the old school Lone Ranger. No, he wrote Is that the new one or the old one?
Well, it's probably the new one.
It says 2013, so he wrote the 2013 Lone Ranger. You know, so he has a good slate of films under his helm. And honestly, I was reading an interview from him talking about Godzilla vs. Kong, and he said it was the best table reading he's ever done, or like writing room he's ever done. And he got to like run it. And he said it was the coolest experience he ever had. And it actually made me really hopeful for Godzilla vs. Kong.
Put that movie out in May. Come on, man. Give it to us, VOD. Come on, Legendary. We see you. You wouldn't be doing these watch parties for no reason.
Honestly, I think they're pulling a fast one. I'm starting to think that they're going to post some type of Easter egg or something. Because, like I said, this watch view party thing came out of the blue, and you would think there would have been a rhyme to the reason, and I just don't think. I think they're trying to pull our leg.
Yeah, I think about this like this. Legendary has a lot of movies under its belt. It's not just the Monsterverse, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they have like Christopher Nolan movies too. Why aren't we doing watch parties for Christopher Nolan? Where is that, Legendary?
Yeah. Why is Godzilla just the topic?
Why is Godzilla just the topic? I mean, honestly, you know, like, show me the Great Wall. I love that movie. I have that. That's a fun monster
Yeah,
flick.
that was a fun one.
So, like, where's that? No, it's specifically the Monsterverse. So you could say all you want, and we're not doing it. Sorry, guys. We love you. When it's ready, when it's time, we'll do it. Okay, fine. But let's be for real here. You have an abundant library that you can pull from. Movies that made a lot of money and were critical successes, but you're choosing to do the Monsterverse. I ain't mad at you at all. But also, don't lie to me, bro. Don't lie. Don't lie.
And also, like, they're not even doing Pacific Rim.
Right.
So if it was just about fucking kaiju.
Right.
You know? So, I don't know. I say G fans, just hang tight. I think they have something they might be teasing soon here.
I
might
agree.
give us some type of word.
Word that the movie's coming out in May on VOD. Thanks to Trolls. Oh, listen, brother, that'll do it for this episode of Godzilla Block Party, bro. I want to say thank you for joining me today.
We're not going to talk about Nizuki?
Not yet. Not this one. No, we're not. No, we're not. We will wrap this up here. We'll keep it short, sweet, and simple, baby. But we'll talk about it in the next podcast. Believe you me, we will. But thank you, my brother Chase, for joining us today.
Oh, absolutely. It was a blast.
It was a blast. Thank y'all all out there for joining us. I want to say seriously from the bottom of my heart, I hope everybody's staying safe, doing the damn thing to flatten this curve, whatever they say. Stay home, watch Godzilla movies, and or just giant monster movies in general. Watch some Gamera, throw on Pacific Rim, go on YouTube, look up like, you know, old black and white monster movies. They have the giant behemoth, Beast from 20,000. Yeah, Reptilicus, brother, Reptilicus. Let's not be remiss. Let's watch Young Gary.
Valley of Gwangi.
Ooh, Gwangi, I love it. But you know, there's a ton of things, man. Stay safe, stay strong. We're gonna get out of this sooner or later, and fingers crossed that Legendary does announce Godzilla vs. Kong is coming to VOD in May. That'll do it for this episode. I am G1, and we are out of here. Peace.